Hello everyone, this is Carlos from devprocb.com. This is the first introduction tutorial to HTML and HTML5. We're going to be teaching you the basics of HTML and how to get off the ground learning the ins and outs of HTML and HTML5. This is strictly going to be HTML5 and HTML tutorial. We're not going to be teaching any CSS or JavaScript. So literally while we're learning the elements at the end of this tutorial, we're actually going to build a very basic website just using HTML. Just so that you see it is possible to do it. One of the ways it obviously was done way back in the day before CSS really came about. But the importance of that is to kind of understand the structure and how things work so that you understand the way that HTML functions in a browser. So the first thing we need to go ahead and do is declare our doc type. This is what we're going to use for every document that we create with the tutorials that we get started with. We do that by typing in the declaration of doc type HTML. That's it. That's all the browser needs to know that you're running an HTML5 document. And of course, it's backwards compatible with many of the elements of HTML for the 4 standard. There are some things that are removed that really that are not needed anymore, such as frames, just because CSS has kind of eliminated those needs for that because of the control of how your website will look. Then we go ahead and let the browser know essentially that we are running an HTML document. We close that tag. So everything in HTML will have an open and closing tag. There are some elements that don't need a closing tag, but for the purposes of teaching you HTML, every tag with us will have an opening and closing tag. There are some things that don't really need it, but I feel it's easier to read code in that way when you close everything, because you can see where everything began and ended. Similar to XML if you've ever dealt with that before. Okay, so we got to do that. And then we declare the header. The header is not rendered on the white space here, so you won't actually see the header content within this, what we call the body of your document. This is strictly for things like the title, which we're going to go ahead and get into right now. Okay, so title. Now every page should have a title. Every page that you're creating when creating HTML documents, no matter if you're creating, a JavaScript app and you're utilizing the doc type for HTML5, and it's rendering in the browser, make sure that you have the title displayed. This really helps, especially with search engine optimization, because what a lot of the search engines look for is uniqueness for your web content. Is it related to something else? How many times does it occur, and so forth. So let's say you have a title or multiple pages that have multiple similar titles. For example, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Those are the things that it's looking for what they call occurrences. So make sure that for an SEO standpoint, every page that you have has a title imprint. Now, one of the things you want to look at in HTML, like I said, it has an open and closing tag. I'm going to space this out a little bit so you can see it a little better. The closing tag and the opening tag. Everything in between these two elements will be where your content goes. So we'll call this the HTML5 /5 tutorial. Okay. So this will be the title of our document over here. Okay. We got our title in. Now we're going to declare our content. This is what's going to display in this white space over here once we're done. Like I said, everything has an open and closing tag. Just remember that. Open tag, content, close tag. Just repeat it multiple times and you'll grasp it fairly quickly. Open tag, content, closing tag. Simple enough. We'll say, this is where my content will go. Okay. Just to display this a little bit better. There we go. So open tag, content, close tag. Save that. Refresh the browser. As you can see here in the tab, it says the HTML5 tutorial. As you see, we declared that in our header. Like I said, it didn't render in the main body, but it did show up in the title, which is one of the things that search engines look for. The other thing we declared was the body. This is where all of your main content, anything that you want the user to see when interacting with your website, will go with the body itself. So this is where my content will go, and we see that it shows up in the main body. Simple enough. If we can get ahead and remember this basic doc type or the document that we're creating, this is every element that we need. We'll enhance on these a little bit later on in the future, but overall, this code right here, minus obviously this text, we're going to delete that, and the text here in the title. So everything here will be what you need. So remember, declare to the browser that you're running an HTML5 document. This lets it know in the engine to run HTML5 elements that it declares. Most browsers will pick this up, but it's always good to get ahead and follow good coding practices and just declare the doc type right away. The HTML, it's letting you know that you're going to be processing HTML, the header, the title, and the body. And then everything has a closing tag after that. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave some comments below this video. Once again, this is Carlos from devprocb.com. Feel free to again visit our website, and I hope to hear you guys to the next video.